We will now go into our round of questioning, and the chair recognizes the distinguished Congresswoman from my neighboring jurisdiction, the District of Columbia, for her 5 minutes of questioning. Eleanor Holmes Norton, welcome.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. Let me begin by taking a moment to introduce to you my constituent, Mike Solomon, a taxpayer and dad to 3 children. Please play the video.
Hello, my name is Mike Solomon, and I'm a resident of the District of Columbia. I filed my 2020 tax return using TurboTax, as I have for the past 10 years, and have never had a problem with receiving my refund promptly in previous years. But this time, months went by and I received no response from the IRS and no information. I repeatedly checked the IRS website for status updates, but received nothing but a generic message saying my return had been received and was being processed, but nothing else. Eventually, after months of no information, I attempted to contact the IRS via email, but got no reply to my message. I then was able to find a phone number, but called and found myself in a maze of responses that always ended up with me either being disconnected or at a voicemail box where I could not leave a message. In the meantime, I am currently in between jobs and have 3 kids at home, so the money from my refund would go a long way to helping my family, but I still have no information as to where things stand and when I might receive that money.
I want to thank Mike for his willingness to share a story with us. And everyone on this in this committee knows that Mike's story is not an outlier. Please take a look at the figure on the screen from a GAO report released earlier this morning. In the 2021 tax filing season, the IRS received 195 million calls, more than 4 times more calls than the agency received in 2019, two years ago. At the end of the 2021 tax filing season, the IRS had 5.9 million pieces of unanswered correspondence, nearly 3 times more than the 2 million pieces in 2019. And as Mike described, GAO also found that the Where's My Refund tool is not actually helpful in explaining why a refund is delayed. Let me put up another figure. This figure shows the large increase in telephone call volume over time at the IRS. The large gray bar in 2021 represents nearly 160 million calls that were abandoned by frustrated taxpayers, disconnected by the IRS or who received a busy signal. Mr. Rettig, what happened? Can you describe what happened?
Yeah, it's a confluence of issues, as we've testified, and also it is in my written testimony. We had unprecedented demand in every lane. We have limited technology to be able to serve that. We have 15,000, but with COVID funds, we're able to bring on another 1,000 customer service representatives. But at one point, we were receiving phone calls at the rate of 1,500 per second. And if you go through the entire system, we had legislative changes both in December and during filing season, and the legislative changes could not be put into an automated processing, which required between 25 and 30 million returns to be manually processed. We used our ARP funding to bring in technology to the manual process, and the really success part of that, no part of it is a success if somebody can't get a refund, can't get through. You know, we're all in that every American deserves to have their telephones answered. We do have in-person taxpayer assistance centers that during COVID went to an appointment basis, but we also have online accounts. We have chat bots, we have voice bots, we have live assisters online. And we have now this year, VITA is back, but VITA was not really operating during the pandemic. because of in-person interactions. So what I could say is at the end of the day, what really hit us was COVID-related demand. What also really hit us was changes in legislation as we have already done our technology for filing season 21. And then during filing season 21, additional changes, and all of that required manual processing. And, the history of everything that we've been talked about and, what you all have said today, the history of the agency. We have not been able to upgrade, create, and bring on board technology, and we welcome oversight. We welcome oversight from this committee. We welcome oversight from our taxpayer advocate. We welcome oversight from Treasury Inspector General for Tax Administration. We welcome oversight from GAO. We welcome oversight from the media. I mean, the media is as impactful on an oversight basis as quite frankly, the rest. And the agency and the employees here are doing their best. I'm confident that if you were sitting in my chair, that you would look at it and you would see the difficulties that we have. This agency, and I'm not the first commissioner, I believe, to say this, has constantly had to move resources from less visible options into more visible options, and the pandemic caught up with that processing. And maybe I should have said in the beginning, the folks who handle phone calls in one of our lanes, the folks who handle phone calls also handle paper inventory. And I am the commissioner who shut down the Internal Revenue Service. In July of 2020, we had over 23 million pieces of unopened mail. We are currently opening mail presently opening mail current. We get 1 to 1.5 million pieces of mail a week. We process 1 to 1.5 million pieces of mail a week. Our current inventory on mail is about 380,000 opened, and then it's pushed out to the various lanes. But when we reopened and on site, so there's been some talk about when are IRS employees going to come back to work. On site in our processing campuses, our people came back in June of 2020, socially distanced, working split shifts. We've had mandatory overtime for more than 6,000 employees for an extended period of time. We have authorized overtime, and I see my time is up, so that's why I stuttered. Sorry, I'll close. But we have authorized overtime for more than 10,000 employees in those lanes.
Thank you, Commissioner Rettig. The gentlelady's time has expired.